Schooner and I. Well, coming up during the course of the weekend, and of course return matches as well played yesterday. Well, as you're aware that this program is tailored to focus on the African Local League, which there is so much happening, so much development happening, so much exciting football happening right now in the African Local League, stretching from Nigeria, Ghana in West Africa, looking at East Africa, Uganda, Kenya, Southern Africa, Malawi, Zambia, Zimbabwe. It's so surprising that this program, of course, is tailored for the local African League, because most African countries right now are sort of like taking a back seat in terms of calling their local, or rather their European-based players based in Europe for international matches. The matches played over the weekend showed that the majority of teams that use 70% of players that are playing in the local league. And of course, when you see teams like Nigeria that are now getting to recognize and apply most of the players that are playing in the local league, it really shows you that African football, African local leagues are definitely going places. But well, I'll be joined on the phone later during the course of the program with David Doherty and Lengwe as well from Zambia, who come to talk to us about the qualifying table. But then of course the World Cup qualifying matches played over the weekend. I'm just going to go straight through to the group standings at the minute. In Group A, we've got Tunisia, Congo, and Guinea and Libya. And Tunisia are right now on 10 points, Congo DR on 7 points, Guinea on 3 points, and Libya on 3 points. Now there's 2 matches to be played in that group, so it's not guaranteed that Tunisia are going to go through, because of course Congo has put on the pressure with Tunisia, and of course who knows what Guinea and Libya can come up with. So it is an open group in Group A, and we go into Group B, which is known as a group of death, where we've got Nigeria, Zambia, Cameroon, and Algeria. And in that group, of course, Nigeria are on 10 points, Zambia on 7 points, Cameroon, the indomitable Lions, on 3 points, and Algeria on 1 point. Very surprising that over the weekend, Zambia went into the match as underdogs at Hero Stadium in Lusaka, only to be beaten, or rather whitewashed, to the tune of 3-1 by Zambia. And Algeria was beaten yesterday by Zambia in front of their fans to the tune of 1-0. Nigeria, of course, the Super Eagles, disciplined, or rather humbled, Cameroon in Nigeria over the weekend, and they drew 1-1 in Yaoundé. So that puts pressure now on Nigeria. Zambia has a chance, of course, in going further, prepared they win their next 2 matches. So the next 2 matches for both Nigeria and Zambia are very imperative. We move on to Group C, where we've got Ivory Coast, Morocco, Gabon, and Mali. Ivory Coast on 7 points, Morocco on 6 points, Gabon on 5 points, and Mali on 2 points. Well, in that group, it looks like it's between Ivory Coast, Morocco, and Gabon. So another group there that you can see that it's still an open group between Ivory Coast, Morocco, and Gabon. Group D, that's Burkina Faso, Cape Verde Island, Senegal, and South Africa. Burkina Faso are on 6 points, Cape Verde Island on 6 points, Senegal on 5 points, South Africa on 4 points. Well, Cape Verde Island, you know, have you heard of them in the world of African football? Have you ever heard of Cape Verde? But there they are. They are on 6 points, level with Burkina Faso, just slightly on goal difference. And of course, Senegal are on 5 points, South Africa are on 4 points. So you can tell that that group is definitely a very difficult group. Very difficult, I think, among all the groups. And then we've got Group E. We've got Egypt, Uganda, Ghana, and Congo. And of course, Egypt are on 9 points. Uganda on 7 points. Ghana are there on 5 points. Congo on 1 point. Of course, Egypt, Uganda, 2 points away. Ghana are on 4 points to reach Egypt. But then, realistically speaking, you expect Ghana to be on top. Ghana are very exposed. Probably one of the few African countries, or should I say, one of the most African countries. Personally, I've observed that they've got natural gifted players. You're talking of the Neil Lampteys back in the days. You're talking about the Ibrahim Alis. You're talking of the Abedi Peles. But then they are on just 6 points. So I don't think Congo have any chance of qualifying in that group. But hey, miracles do happen in the world of football. So it's a very open group for the African qualifying campaign. If you look at the World Cup qualifying campaigns back 20 years ago, 15 years ago, the big boys, Nigeria, Ghana, Cameroon, the Arab countries, Algeria, Egypt, Morocco, you would always be guaranteed that it's going to be a smooth transition to a World Cup tournament or an Africa Cup tournament. But we've seen over the years that every African country is definitely raising their game. Well, let me just be joined now by David Doherty, who is the coordinator for Team Nigeria here.
Hello.
Hello. Hi, David. Good evening and welcome to the Sports Corner on Noble Radio TV.
Hello. Good evening, Chinode. Good evening. Thanks for having me again.
Right. Okay. Before we look at Group B, of course, which is the group of death, David, I've been looking at these groups all afternoon, and it seems it's an open race for all groups, isn't it?
Absolutely, because you can't predict the games now. You want them to, in 1 minute, you might think this team is going to beat this other team, and then you find out that he's not coming out the same way. So it seems the qualifiers are kind of, what do I call it, shaky at this minute. And everyone is just praying and hoping his or our country or team will qualify.
Right, David, do you think that most African countries now have just raised their game? What do you have to say with these teams like, I was looking at Group D, which has got Burkina Faso, Cape Verde Island, Senegal and South Africa. And Cape Verde Island are actually on 6 point level with Burkina Faso. Only what separates them is goal different. What do you have to say about the small teams now coming up well and surprising the big boys?
I think that's one thing we want to see. Football is not played by names alone anymore. Cape Verde, as you mentioned, they've been doing very well for the past years. They've been, coming up, showing surprises in the Nations Cup, and they're not just a team to look away from. They've got some good, talented young players coming up, and also players that are playing in Europe. So I think everyone has buckled up. Everyone is working hard. Every country is making sure that he has he prepares as much as he can to pull a surprise in these qualifiers.
Right, okay, now quickly on Group E, we've got Egypt, Uganda, Ghana and Congo. And Ghana, who traditionally qualify to most World Cups, they are on 5 points. And Uganda, 2 points above them, and Egypt, 9 points above them. Do you think Ghana are going to struggle in this group, or it's still unpredictable?
Like I said, you can put a finger on who is going to qualify. But like it is, Ghana might struggle because they lost at home to Congo, but came to redeem that by beating Congo 5-1. So I think you can predict, but Ghana will definitely struggle because if I'm looking at the likes of Uganda and Egypt, at the top, will be a very struggle. A tough one for Ghana to qualify this time around.
Right, going on quickly on Group C, Ivory Coast, Morocco, Gabon and Mali. Of course, Ivory Coast as well, it's tradition that they'll qualify to any World Cup or any Africa Cup of Nations, but they're on 7 points. Morocco breathing right behind their back with 6 points. We've got Gabon with 5 points, Mali with 2 points. How do you look at that group?
That looks very, very tough. With Morocco breathing behind Ivory Coast. Ivory Coast will definitely, slightly qualify for the World Cup, as we used to know them, but you don't look away from the Moroccans. They might go out and beat, the other teams when they go away to any other country at this point in time. But as it is, I'm still going to give it to Ivory Coast to qualify from that group.
Right, now, and of course, Group A, Tunisia, Congo, Guinea, and Libya. Tunisia on 10 points, Congo breathing 3 points behind them. We've got Guinea and Libya on 3 points. How do you look at that group? Do you think it's a tussle between Congo and Tunisia?
It's a tough one. I think Tunisia will just go through with 10 points. I think it's all over. They will definitely win their next game, which is very, very sure, certain. I don't think they have any problem in that group at all.
Right, fantastic. Now, finally, let's look at Group B, which is where all eyes are on. That's the group of death. Nigeria, Zambia, Cameroon, and Algeria. Nigeria have won the Africa Cup. Zambia have won the Africa Cup. Cameroon have won the Africa Cup. Same goes to Algeria. Well, do you think in this group the pressure now is on Nigeria?
Absolutely. The pressure, people may see it as a pressure, but I mean, we don't see, myself, I don't see it as any pressure.
Why don't you see it as a pressure? Tell us more.
Because Zambia has got a good team. We played Zambia. We know Zambians are very good, but we're not looking away. We're not underestimating any team. So we're not under pressure. If we can go to Cameroon to get a draw in the Lions' Den, so that shows the quality we have in our squad in the Super Eagles. So it is with the Zambians. We were praying for the Zambians to lose yesterday against Algeria, but unfortunately the Algerians disappointed us. So that comes the pressure. It's a pressure, but it's not going to get to the players, and it's not going to get to us.
Right. Okay. Looking at the game between Nigeria and Cameroon. They drew 1-1. Where do you think Nigeria could have done it? Could have done better in terms of getting 6 points in that. Sorry, getting another 3 points in that match. Watching that match, I'm sure you did see clips. Do you think Nigeria could have improved in certain areas? What's your analysis of that game?
Absolutely. The game away to Cameroon. First half, Cameroon started very brilliantly. They were up and running like we expected, and then gradually the Super Eagles came into the game, and then it was balanced, and then we took over again from. We were much better at that towards the end of the first half. But I think one thing that we didn't see in that game was with the Super Eagles, we didn't see the likes of Mikel Obi at the top of his game compared to the first leg. He was all over. He was controlling the game. Was controlling the midfield. I think the Cameroonians went back to the drawing board, thought very well on how to make sure they pin him down, they close mark him, they put all pressure on him. So he wasn't at his best, for the Super Eagles, and that actually affected the game. It was only Victor Moses and Simon Moses and the rest of the lads that are actually trying to do something. And you can see that he was actually substituted at the second half like they normally do. But he wasn't at his best. If Nico can be at his best against Zambia or against any of the remaining matches, then I think Nigeria would do very well. But overall, Cameroon, you don't look away from them. They are the African champions. They did fight very hard. They put the pressure on. Towards the last 20 minutes of the game, where we had to sit back and contain the pressure, but we managed to hold them to a 1-1 draw. I think it's fantastic results. Going to Cameroon to get that is a big one for us, and we hope we're going to see that when we meet the Chipolopolo, your country, in New York. We'll fight with all our teeth, all our nails, and on our news.
Right. Okay. Now, looking at the game against Chipolopolo, how should Nigeria prepare mentally? Going into this match, knowing Zambia beat Algeria with the likes of Riyad Mahrez of Leicester City, who missed a penalty in yesterday's match. How should Nigeria go in this match mentally?
I think we have to prepare, very strong mentally. Physically. In every form, we have to be at our best like we did in the last 2 games against Cameroon. and I think if we can do that, we will be able to overcome the Zambians. They're a very good side, but like I said to you, don't look away. Beating Zambia at home doesn't mean they're not good. They're not as good as anybody. Every team has got a strong team, a strong side, a good side. Football is no more about names anymore. It's about coming on the pitch and play the 90 minutes. So I believe if we can be at our best against the Zambian side, and manage to get a win, because I'm pretty sure we're going to win the game if we can play the way we played against Cameroon in both legs, and even when we played Chipolipolo in their country, if we can do the same thing in Uyo, I think we will come out victorious against them.
And Algeria, what do you think Algeria is not doing right? Because they are a very dangerous side. I think the most they're a dangerous side, one of the most dangerous sides you face in North Africa. Typical Arab football. I mean, how do you look at Algeria now in terms of their last 3 matches in this qualifying campaign?
I think one thing they need to do is to go back and look at the preparation. There might be something that is missing compared to the previous years that they've been doing, that they didn't do very well, or would it be that the players have some kind of what do you call it, this unity in the team, that is now bringing the best out of the players, because we used to know Algeria to be one of the top forces when it comes to football in Africa. So seeing them being beaten over and away, rocking the bottom of the table in Group B is really not a good thing for them. So I believe they will go back and look at what they've done in previous years and hopefully prepare, maybe for the African Nations Cup to redeem what they didn't do very well in this World Cup and hopefully come back much better.
Right, and finally, what are the Nigerians saying here in London? The people that you've been meeting in restaurants, parties, what have they been saying about Nigeria's chances or Nigeria's performance in the last 2 matches?
I think we Nigerians are beginning to believe that the Super Eagles are back. To the same Super Eagles that we used to know them for. We are seeing the same team, the same Super Eagles that we would believe in, that we trust in, and the reassurance is back in the community and also amongst Nigerians. Now Nigerians are urging, they're running around, to watch the Super Eagles play, which is the good thing. What you don't see a few years back, many Nigerians, they've been disappointed a lot about the performance of the team, but now some kind of reassurance and belief has come into the team, and kudos to the manager, Donald Roy, all the technical team, the Nigerian Football Federation, and also we, the supporters out here, for the collective work that we're doing to ensure we have the best team to put forward for the World Cup and the African Nations Cup.
Right, well, on that note, David, thank you so much for joining us on the Sports Corner. And of course, we'll be in touch again with you during the next qualifiers match, which falls in October.
Okay, then. Thank you so much, Chinode. And it's a pleasure to be with you. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you very much. That was, of course, David Doherty of Team Nigeria UK. You can always catch him on his Facebook page, Team Nigeria UK. He is actually trying to build, or is rather build, a diaspora team of young Nigerians aged between 14 and 17, trying to infuse them, trying to feed them into the Nigerian under-17 in Nigeria. I mean, let's not sit back tomorrow and say Tunde or Ade is playing for Liverpool. Why is he not playing for Nigeria? What are you Africans in diaspora doing to set up such community academies to bring your African children born here closer to home? Well, let's see if we can catch Lengwe Kapotwe from Zambia to see his opinions and analysis on the matches that were played over the weekend. It's quite a very open group right now. It's you can tell that as David Doherty there has said. We've got Lengwe on the line. Good evening, Lengwe. How are you today, sir?
I'm fine, thank you. How are you?
We are outstanding well, thank you. Welcome to the Sports Corner on Noble People Radio and TV. Lengwe, we just get into it. We're going to talk about Group B. Zambia, you've been following Zambian matches. You are Zambian. You've got passion for Zambian football and African football in general. Zambia, went into the match at Hero Stadium as underdogs, and they whitewashed, or rather should I say haranguted, if there's such a word in English, Algeria to the tune of 3 goals to 1, and beat Algeria in front of their fans again narrowly 1 goal to 0. What do you make of these 2 victories for Zambia?
Well, I think definitely very impressive victories. It shows how far we've come. It was a slow start maybe to the campaign, but definitely the boys have picked things up, and 2 terrific results mean we've got momentum at the moment. So yeah, very impressive. I don't think anybody would have predicted those 2 victories, but it happened. So yeah, it's a very good time for us.
Right, okay, another question, Lengwe, is the newly appointed Zambian coach, Wetson Nyerenda, who played for Chipolo Polo as well in the 90s. He was under so much criticism from the local fans in Zambia. What do you make of his delivery right now in terms of national duty?
Well, I think it's, I mean, his record speaks for itself. It's a very impressive turnaround. I think as far as the fans go, that's a difficult one. I think Zambian fans are very, very passionate, and sometimes that passion maybe distorts what the actual situation is with the team. But yeah, he's done very well. He's obviously very focused. He's been obviously around the Zambian game a long time. He knows the players inside out and the strengths, and I think now you're actually seeing the fruit of his hard work, and obviously the boys believe in what he's doing. Right now we're going through a transition in the Zambian football, and obviously he's right at the forefront. So yes,
right, I'll just hold you up there. You just mentioned transition. What sort of transition is Zambian football in right now? Tell us more.
I think from many aspects, one, we've gone through a transition in the actual football administration. So the guys who are actually running the game, therefore that's filtered down to right through to the players and the playing staff. So I think we had the old guard and some of the old players who have served the country very well, but we've also got a lot of talent in the country, and that talent is now starting to shine through, or being given the platform to shine through, which they haven't always been able to do. But I think we've had we did really well in the under-20s World Cup, got to the quarterfinals. Some of those players are now coming through to the full national squad, which is a good thing. So yeah, it's transition from all fronts, from the player front, from the administration front, and also even the coaching staff. So yeah,
right, fantastic. Well, Lengwe, of course, I won't take so much of your time, but then Brian Mwila, somebody, the Zambian soccer fans have never heard before. He actually went into this first match at Hero Stadium and banged in a spectacular header and scored another goal. What's your take on African teams, not just Zambia, African teams keeping an eye on talent within the local league rather than just looking at players that are playing in European leagues? What's your take on that?
Yeah, I think he's a prime example. He's a good example of a player who's maybe under the radar, but locally people have known him for a while. So it's about, a lot of these players, it's about being given a platform. And the question that you raised is a very poignant one for not only Zambian football, but for African football, in terms of how good our scouting networks are within the local leagues, because there's always and maybe quite rightfully so, there's always a way that people will always look at people in Europe because I guess they're in the forefront, so it's more easy. But sometimes talent can be just upon you. I mean, if you look at the last game, I think maybe it was a little bit about injury, but Chinode, who's probably our biggest player playing abroad, he was on the bench. So yeah, she didn't even play in that last game. He played in the first game, but not the second game. So it just shows you there's obviously a trust. Particularly in Zambian football, they're looking at some of the local boys right now and changing how we look at our players or select our players. So that's improving. And yeah, look, a lot of players are coming
Right, okay, now let's move on. They say, when you look at the past, there's no future in the past. Let's look at the future. Zambia faces Nigeria, and Nigeria disciplined Zambia in front of the Zambian fans in Zambia to the tune of 2-1. And they are now on 10 points, Zambia on 7 points. Of course, that is going to be more like a technical deciding match. I mean, how do you look at that match between Zambia and Nigeria in front of the Nigerian fans who are as well as passionate as the Zambian fans? What's your analysis on that match?
Well, it's going to be a terrific spectacle. Both teams are actually, I think that the table, there's a saying in football that the table doesn't lie, and I think the two best teams in the group are definitely 1 and 2. Both teams are, great form. I watched Nigeria the other day against Cameroon, and they just demolished them. Looked terrific going forward, and then the Nigerian squad, let's not lie. They've got a terrific squad. They've got a lot of players there, even in the Premier League. For them to be able to afford to bring on the likes of Inacio and Musa, who are players who are in the Premier League, is a luxury a lot of African teams can't afford. So they've got a terrific squad, as well as the people like Victor Moses, who are obviously doing very well. Median Igalo, there's a lot of strength in that team. But Zambia are the sort of young, hungry lions, and they also doing very well. Momentum is a big thing in football. We've definitely got momentum. So it can go either way. You can argue they've got more experience and they're playing really well, but you could have said that about Algeria. They've got the likes of Riyad Mahrez, a top player in the Premier League, but they didn't beat us. So momentum is a big thing. So
yeah, sorry to cut you there, Lengwe, but Algeria, I was going to say what is momentum in football, but I think it's a straightforward answer. Now, Algeria, where have they got it wrong? Because they are probably the most dangerous, countries to face in African football. Where do you think Algeria went wrong? If you're trying to talk from an impartial point of view, where do you think Algeria went wrong?
It's very difficult to say because you've got to know what's going on internally. But listen, I think the game. I don't know if it's necessarily about them doing things wrong. I just think the African teams are getting better. The competition is getting tougher out there. So therefore, sometimes what you expect to see doesn't really happen. And I think more and more often you'll see what people deem as shocks. I don't think everyone necessarily thought Cameroon would win the last African Nations, but it can happen. And, that's another example of what you were talking about earlier on. They left a lot of their top stars from Europe, didn't even turn up to the tournament. Got a lot of the local players, and they were the ones who won the African Nations. So I think it's not necessarily about where they went wrong. You've also got to applaud the people for doing well. The Zambian team were just they're guys who are young and hungry, and maybe there's not that much footage of them, or they didn't really expect us to be that good. Sometimes you can be complacent in football, and that's where results come from. I think it might be a bit of complacency, but it's also a bit of the team doing very well, playing very well. So I think that's where they are. It's not unusual if you even look at, let's say, the South American game, which is similar to ours. I think it's done in terms of physicality, skill. Chile have won, many tournaments, and they've been one of the top teams in South America in the last few years. Got a lot of top stars. They are on the verge of not being in the World Cup, and some of the lesser known nations are ahead of them at qualification at this stage, very similar to what we're going through. So it's across the game. So complacency and teams are getting better. So.
Right, okay, now Cameroon, do you think they stand any chance of upsetting the tables if things don't go well for both Nigeria and Zambia? How do you look at Cameroon? Is it time to look ahead for 2022, the next 2022 World Cup?
No, I think nothing's decided until we finish the campaign. So they're going to be looking at it. They're the African champions. So we can't really show them any disrespect in that sense. They've got a hell of a lot of talented players. Maybe there's internal issues that need to be sorted out. They're probably going to put their best, teams out in the next 2 games. So let's see what they come up with. If you're a manager, the fans are going to be looking for them to come out, and react that next opportunity to put things right. So they certainly won't give up, and they've got the pride in the fact that they're the African champions. So they're going to be looking to be in that tournament because it's going to be expected. But that's where players have got to handle expectations. So yeah, that's
Right. Okay. Now, obviously, before we just now finally wrap up, if you had to sit Lengwe with your Zambian coach Wetson Nyirenda having a coffee, tea, or what we call in Zambia munkoyo, what would you say to him in terms of preparing the Zambian team mentally? How should the Zambian team prepare mentally? What would you say to Wetson Nyirenda if he called you for a drink, or if you had 20 minutes to have a chat with him?
Well, I think he's doing a fantastic job in the first place. So I don't think he needs my advice in that sense. But I think it would be very much talking to the boys would be just carry on doing what you're doing, and then just really stressing the points that I'm sure he is in terms of what a wonderful opportunity this is for us to qualify for the first ever time. I believe that this current crop of players will get to the big major tournaments for the first time, because I think we're really seeing a lot of talent coming through. So as long as he's recognising that, he's putting those guys in the team, and the hunger's there, I think it's very much carry on doing what we're doing. For some fantastic results. The job isn't finished yet. Listen, it's time to maybe change things. A new face of African football. That's what I'll be stressing. We're going through a transition in terms of Zambian football, but so the African football in terms of even again the administration and some of the teams coming up. So we are part of that. Maybe that new school that's coming through. So really big opportunities for these guys to shine.
Right, okay, Lengwe, thank you so much for joining us on the Sports Corner. We'll be looking forward to getting in touch with you as the campaign again resumes in October. Thank you so much for sparing your time, Lengwe Kapotwe.
Thank you for having me. All right.
Thank you. Well, that was Lengwe Kapotwe talking to us about Zambia's chances of qualifying in the World Cup campaign, which falls back in October. Of course, so much matches will be played during that month of October. Of course, if you'd like to participate in the program, please feel free to contact us on the email address is info@noble people TV or radio at hotmail.com, or rather call us on the actually call us on the main email, which is info@Noble Radio TV, I beg your pardon, nobleradioTV.co.uk. Of course, I repeat, that's info@Noble Radio People TV.co.uk. Well, it's time to wrap up the Sports Corner this evening. It's been rather a very hectic weekend for the African teams that have been trying to campaign for this World Cup in 2018. It was quite a very difficult one, of course, for teams like Ghana. Ghana has been to the World Cup. It's tradition for them to qualify for any World Cup, for any Africa Cup. It's tradition for Ghana to reach the last four of any continental, rather the Africa Cup of Nations tournament that's held every 24 months in Africa. But of course, you had our two callers, our two special guests that were on the line, David Doherty of Nigeria and Lengwe Kapotwe of Zambia, who obviously stated that, those days are gone, where you are playing a small team and you typically or statistically underrate them, thinking, they're only Uganda, or they're only Malawi, they're only Swaziland. But those days are gone. Don't forget, here in the United Kingdom, we saw Iceland beat England, right? And of course, England boasting of players that majority of players earning over 50, 60,000 pounds a year. And Iceland came into that match with average players earning between 500 to 600 pounds, not a week or an hour, but a month, and surprising England. So I think, of course, the match, the games, I beg your pardon, are changing. The game now is changing. Most teams now are raising their game. or rather the Football Association, the football organizations now in Africa, as that's changing. And of course, to let you know that on this program, this is why we focus so much. Our main focus is to give you results on what's happening in the local African leagues. When we looked at this World Cup campaign, we realized that the majority of countries now are focusing more on looking at talent within the local league. Well, I've still got a couple of minutes. If you'd like to call me and contribute, please call me on this number, 07 415 063 960. That's 07 415 063 960 is the number to call. Call me now and tell me wherever you're listening or watching me from. You know, tell me about your country, or if you're a friend of Africa, you know, if you're from Ivory Coast, if you're from Zimbabwe, Ghana, Algeria, and you're watching anywhere, please feel free to call me now on 07 415 063 960. I speak too fast sometimes. It's 07 415 063 960. Tell me what your predictions are on this World Cup qualifying campaign on African teams. And the other question that pops into every African's mind and heart is what is it going to take for an African team to win the World Cup? Not reach the last four. We've only seen African teams reach the last 8 of any World Cup, and it all goes wrong at the last minute of a quarter-final in the World Cup. So what is it going to take to see an African country lift the World Cup? We saw in South Africa, of course, Ghana came close, only to be denied by the woodwork with that penalty taken, you know, technically from one of their top stars, Asamoah Gyan, you know, missing that penalty, and that was going to be Africa reaching the first ever semi-final in an Africa Cup of Nations. Well, coming up to the end of the program, you could still call in on 07 415 063 960 is the number to dial. 07 415 063 960 is the number to call. I should be wrapping up shortly. I'm still waiting, of course, to hear your thoughts and opinions on specifically the Africa Cup World Cup campaign that is ongoing in Africa. It's very imperative that you contribute to this program, because this program is tailored, crafted specifically to look at what's happening inside the continent of African football, what's happening inside our local leagues, how our local leagues are developing. So every week during 6 p.m. and 7 p.m. we bring you results from West Africa, North Africa, East Africa, Central Africa, and of course the bottom side of Africa, and that is Southern Africa. So we would like to hear as well your thoughts, how we could improve this program. If you would like to contribute, appear here as a guest and talk about inside Africa, what is happening in terms of football in Africa, please feel free. Well, we're going to come to the end of the Sports Corner now. I would like to thank you all for tuning in. Remember, it's going to be a tough one in October, where we'll see Nigeria take on Zambia, Algeria take on Cameroon, vice versa. You know, it's going to be, you know, the John Abinikal picks up the ball, turns around 360 degrees, is about to go past Zio Tembo. A tackle puts it away into touch for a throw-in to Nigeria at about 7-8 meters away from the corner flag. It's going to be taken by their right back. He throws one, punched away by Kennedy Mwene, shot by Nigeria. It goes past the post. No, it's a corner to Nigeria, and Enoch Mwepu is dropping back to come and defend. Well, it's going to be an exciting match between Zambia and Nigeria. So keep your eyes open on the Sports Corner as we focus now next week on the local league in Africa. So from myself and my producer Ade, I'd like to wish you an outstanding week and always live life with passion. Goodbye.